this isn't really formal or anything like IOP, but it's just something I play around with because I do want to build a better brand in terms of stuff like this. But I think we're live. Yep, we're definitely live. What's going on, you guys? Gaming Addict here. Welcome to the Addict Show. So we got a couple topics today. I'm sure if you clicked this video, you saw some of them. But I got the man himself. I don't know. I think you're more inclined to call yourself the Pony Commissioner than Jack Move. I'm sorry, but got Kratos in here. Go ahead and say what's up, Kratos.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's actually the artist formerly known as Kratos. It's Jaydub these days.
Oh, now it's Jaydub. All right.
Yeah. We have to move on to bigger and better things. I've put the Kratos, the greatness. I put that era behind me because I was able to, for 2 and 3 straight years, I was able to confess that God of War would win the game of the generation and the game of the year, and it accomplished it. And so I'm going to just put that puppy to rest. And then
so you're officially retiring that persona.
I'm officially retiring that persona.
And that's just because you were right when it came to God of War.
I had one goal. I reached out and I accomplished that goal. And I proved the critics wrong. And greatness came, and now it's gone. It's resting now, and I'll be back, Kratos. I'll resurface it once the
PS5 gets announced.
Exactly.
All right. So obviously, you guys see the topics. We're going to talk a little bit. I think we're going to talk from whack subject to best subject. I try to keep these a little bit not too long. I'm going for 30 to 45 minutes. Cool. That's why there's only 3 topics. So we'll go through these pretty fast because I don't really see too much. We're going to not see eye to eye on maybe the console power. That's the only one I can really see. But first off, I want to do we just had a fellow YouTuber. He passed away. Etika. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce his name, correct?
Yeah, Etika.
Etika. Definitely want to give him a couple moment of silence. Mental health is not something that you joke around about, and people should take that more seriously. So we're going to go ahead and do that. All right. So, once again, rest in peace to Etika, and I hope his family recovers from that. But let's go ahead and go into this. I wasn't going to really bring this up, but I kind of want to talk about a little bit, Jaydub. And that's these people flipping out about Tifa from Final Fantasy VII's cup size. Have you heard about this?
Oh man, I saw that, man. It's bad, man. It's bad, and I'm gonna tell you where it stems from, man. There's this. I don't want to say a small movement, but there's this small movement, man, with a lot of these gamers. A lot of them are the anime type people that likes, the anime style of games and cartoons and shows and stuff like that. A lot of them are anti-censorship of that type of stuff. Now, I'm not into anime. I'm not into the Japanimation and all that stuff, so it's foreign to me, and I don't see what a big deal is about it. I'm not into all the drawings with the stuff with the big boobs and all that. That's just it's personally it's weird to me, but hey, that's just me. What's weird to me is somebody else's fetish, and I'm fine with that. But we're at the point now where we're arguing about digital boobs and digital. Come on, like, do you really need to do that?
And the part that
I think as a gamer, right? Don't we have bigger and better things to argue about and to band together to eliminate?
I think the part that really frustrates me the most when it comes to this certain topic is just the, like, if you look at it from like Tifa back then, maybe they're referring to the Advent Children. I can honestly say in games, unless it's vividly clear that the Kuhas are bigger than they should be. You know what I'm saying? But like it's like, whoa, that's crazy. But a lot of people need to realize that this was back in like a long time ago, And if you look at it from the standpoint of that, is there is things called sports brawls. That could take they. The thing that I have an issue with is I don't think it's censorship. I think that's how they visualize Tifa in that game. And I think people have issues with that. Like, my biggest issues has nothing to do with that. I didn't even notice it until it was brought up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do we even know what her bra size was back then to even compare it to what it is now?
Exactly. Some triangle boobs back then comparable to 2019. Come on.
And I think that's the part that frustrates me. It's like, let's bitch about the gameplay mechanics. I know a lot of people don't like that, how went the direction towards the Final Fantasy. They gave us that little time stop mode to balance that out. But let's do stuff like, let's complain about gameplay mechanics and not how big digital females breasts are in games. And obviously you have sides from both spectrums. You have the people that are trying to say censorship because of people on the internet complaining, and Square Enix didn't want to deal with that. But at the same time, it's like, do you blame, even if it was that? This is a Japanese company. They tend to do that. Do you blame them if they went back a little bit, dialed it back just a little bit, just so it's not like, it'd be different if she had no boobs. She's still plenty there. Like, but people feel like unless it's not like double D's, it's an issue. Like, first off, Tifa's a fighter, a hand-to-hand fighter. That'd be very uncomfortable if they forcefully gave her big breasts for no reason.
Exactly.
But anyway, I didn't think that was going to be a huge issue. But I didn't want to talk about that. I think, like you said, people are just weird these days. They don't give too much thought process on stuff. They pay attention to details that shouldn't be paid attention to, and don't pay attention to the details that should. But we don't want to talk about that too much. I'm gonna go to the Switch. Shout out to BG. What's the names we're calling him these days, Jaydub? There's so many of them, man.
Hey, shout out to BG. Yeah, but hey, one tweet, man, he'll say something that makes perfect sense, and you like it and retweet the next one. It's like, what did you say?
Yeah, but we're gonna talk about the Nintendo Switch, and particularly on the Nintendo Switch, what we're gonna talk about is that the Nintendo Switch took over the Wii U era. Now, obviously, I don't think that the technology was there back then to do exactly what the Switch did at the affordable price. Exactly all the variables wasn't back there to have it come out with that at that particular time. But let's go ahead and play devil's advocate and say it's possible. Someone made a time machine and gave people blueprints. I don't know. We'll just say, it's possible. And the Xbox One, the PS4, and the Nintendo Switch all came out in the same week. Do you think the Switch is going to do what it's still doing?
No.
And why is that?
Not at all. Personally, listen, man. I mean, the Nintendo Switch, no matter what you think about it, it's a great little console, but it will always be the side piece. It will always be the side piece to the full course meal that is a PlayStation or even an Xbox. Until they get the performance on par, to tell you the truth, Nintendo has never been, to me, a main console or that full course meal since the Nintendo 64.
I think that they were low key. Like, I think that they were still a full course console back at the GameCube, because they had exclusives like Resident Evil 4. I'm pretty sure was one. I do think after that's when they started going down here, about midway through that gen, because they still wanted to keep CDs. I think that's the biggest thing, is they always want to be they want to be different, and it always hurts the power of their system. We've seen that time after time, the Switch, because they wanted it to be completely portable. Definitely hurt them power wise there. But as far as I'm curious, as far as games, launch titles, we had what did the PlayStation come out with? I'm sorry, I didn't get. If I had the GIF with, I used the dude putting his hands up saying that, I'm just saying I didn't buy the PlayStation on launch. I don't know what the launch titles were. You're gonna have to remind that for me.
Exactly.
What were the launch titles for the PS4?
All right, man. Come on. Here we go. Launch titles. We had Killzone Shadowfall, which was a graphical showpiece of what the system could do. By any standards today, that game can still hold its own against some of the biggest games out there.
Is it the It was it made after Rise. Remember, everything's made after Rise.
Yeah, everything was after Rise, right? it had that Rise template.
It did.
So we had that. We had Knack. Shortly after that, we had, I think, Drive Club. We had the.
So I'm talking about launch titles.
Okay, very launch titles. I think I picked up.
Infamous came out, or did that come out afterwards?
Infamous came out like 6 months after, 4 to 6 months after. It was, but that's why I kind of used the launch window, because both systems launched in November, but then they also launched some games like in that February, which I believe February or March is when Infamous Second Son came out. So I kind of, but okay, fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and say I gotta disagree with you. I don't necessarily think the Nintendo would have did good, did as good coming out the gate. But I think it launching with Zelda, because it would have launched with Zelda if we put it back then. I think that alone gave it enough clout to continue on down the line. Now, I do think that people would have picked up more of the other game systems in terms of games. I think for the hardcore, they would have bought both. They would have bought an Xbox or a PlayStation, and they would have bought a Switch right alongside it, or within like a month after it came out. So I do think it would have hurt the initial launch slightly, because Zelda's still Zelda. It's probably one of their most profitable game systems besides Mario and stuff like that. But as far as like Xbox goes, they had stuff like Dead Rising, but I think Zelda kills pretty much everything that came out. Now, if it was a third-party machine and it had those third-party games too, I think the Switch would have murdered both of them at launch. But since it can't, we have to take that into consideration, and I think a lot of gamers would take that into consideration. They would get one of the other consoles, and the people that could afford it, such as people like yourself, they would have got both of them.
Yeah.
So
I listen. I agree with you. I still will think that giving a choice going in at the beginning of generation 2013, if the Switch would have launched day and date with the Xbox One and with the PlayStation 4, I still think most gamers would have chose a PlayStation or an Xbox as their preferred platform. The Switch would have been a good buy, but it also, you got to realize, it also is going to make a great, and it still does, it makes a great companion. It doesn't have the performance, it doesn't have the third-party support. It's a lot of things that the Switch compromise over. You got to realize the Xbox got reamed for the performance for the first couple of years.
It did, and you make a good point when it comes to the power narrative.
Yeah, we
it definitely was there at that time
for it, and then and I think I put up a Twitter post a couple of weeks ago saying, why does Xbox get thrashed for its performance for the first couple of years of the generation, but Nintendo Switch gets a pass on everything? We as gamers
10 times worse on the Switch than it ever was in the
exactly.
Listen,
2019, and we got games on the Switch running at 360p, and people are saying that's perfectly fine. Like, come on, what are we doing here? We both know if the PlayStation or the Xbox would have ran any games at 360p, it would have got reamed. The Xbox got reamed for doing 720p. Which,
out of curiosity, do you think that if it can't run at least 720p on the Switch, do you think developers should even worry about it?
Okay, so here's the thing, right? The Switch is already a compromise. When you dock it, it's supposed to be 1080p. That's fine. I don't have any qualms about that, right? I really don't. But here's the thing: the Switch is a 9th generation console.
Yeah, the Wii generation higher, actually.
The Wii U is competing with the PlayStation 4.
And what's funny is that you remember me saying that, when the Switch first came out, and people made fun of me.
Yep.
Like, I remember I said that a couple of times on Planet Xbox, and I remember I said it one time on Weapon Wheel, and BG attacked me over it. It was someone over there. I don't know if it was BG or Black Bomb. One of them people did. But now, a couple of years later, they're saying it.
There you go. It goes back to gamers. We're very fickle. We say and do and compromise whatever we want based on that particular time and what system benefits us and what we like at that moment. And that's just, that's just a fact. I'm not gonna lie. I was team Switch when it first came out. When I first played it, I was like, hey man, this thing is great. This thing is, but then I tell you what, I fast forward about 3 months down the line, I started realizing the compromises, because I'm like, okay, I get that the system is 720p in handheld, but none of these games are running 720p in handheld. They're running sub that. So at what point, and I think what hit the hammer on the nail was WWE 2K18. Now I tried to buy
I
every
heard
Switch game
it got obliterated because of that game.
That game, oh my god, we're talking about 12, 13 frames a second.
Oh,
that and this is
I hate to interrupt you for 1 second, but as far as stuff like that, if it's going to 12 frames, the resolution's kind of low. Do you think they should I think that should be enough reason right there. That's like, why even bother?
Exactly. And you know what? And they will never make another WWE game for that system. They've already said it. But I understand it. Listen, making games is a craft. That's an art. Don't you want your craft and your art to be displayed on the best possible way? Why would you put it out there in a subpar state? Because you're going to get the back blow. Nintendo's not. The Nintendo fans are just going to say, oh, well, that's the developer. They should have optimized it. They should have did this and did that. But I hate to tell you, with a lot of these games, there was no kind of optimization these guys could have to make these games run on the Switch like that. And I get it. You may have one game that looks and runs really well, and it's more than what you think it would. For example, we have The Witcher 3 coming. It's going to be compromised, but guess what? They got it to run on the system. Is that okay? Is that okay?
I feel like things are going to get really bad when that game comes out, because even if you take that scale of that world, I've played it on Xbox. Even if you put that to 540p, they had to have done other stuff to make that game run. Maybe drop that. This game might come out low key looking like an N64 game, blockheads and
exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with that. People want to play that cool. I think The Witch is going to sell fantastic on the Switch. But at the end of the day, it's games like that, I feel, make the hardware look worse. Because it's you can't even, when you give us third-party games, it runs at 540p. And what's funny, it's like you said, when it comes to the beginning of the generation, I didn't even think about that. It would have hurt them, because I don't know if people would have went at Nintendo like they went at that Microsoft. I think maybe that would have helped Microsoft, because they couldn't attack them both. So, they might have let off on them both. Because I feel like if you put them in the same scenario, because Nintendo has that world brand accepted a little bit better, that they wouldn't have attacked them over that as much. I think they would have got hit. Digital Foundry would have made their videos, but as far as consistently hitting them, I don't think they would have done that. But shout out to Browse Moves. He says Dark Souls Blighttown on the Switch is hashtag in the bushes, and I didn't do that. Brighttown didn't really work on the 360 very well, so I can't imagine that on the Switch. But if there was a game that you could bring over that you would like on the Switch, even though if it run at a 540p, what game would be, Jaydub?
The Division.
The Division.
I mean, they got that engine.
You picked a multiplayer game. I don't know if I would even pick that.
Well, I mean, you asked.
You don't use that app, right?
You ask, and to tell you the truth, if we could get a Switch Pro or something like that would solidify that performance at 720p, let's say 720p 30, man, just straight, no dips or nothing like that, I could get down with that, because it's portable. I mean, I loved my Vita back when it's in its heyday.
The Switch has made it to where I can't play in the Vita. I literally can't do it, because the Switch is just so well made for my hand. The Vita is a little small.
True.
So when I'm 6'3", I have decently sized hands. So when I'm in that, my finger goes over all of the analog. I only really had the Vita for Final Fantasy. It looks like they've carried that success over to the Switch.
Yeah.
So I love the portable aspect. I did play xCloud at E3. I'm a complete believer in that now. I still don't care about it, but I believe that technology will eventually work exactly. I don't think it's going to work exactly how they claim it is right now. But what I saw of it made me realize that there is a future in that brand, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
But you know,
to tell you the truth, man, I think people have it made up in their minds that Nintendo will never be that main console. That it'll always be the side piece, and they're okay with that. And I think
Nintendo is flourishing on that. To be honest with you,
they are.
I think that they've decided they can't compete.
Yep. Or they weren't willing to compete.
So what they're going to do is like, okay, we can't compete with these blockbusters. We can't get these third parties. And to be honest with you, Jaydub, I don't think they have the relationship with third parties to that the other console holders have now. So you know, I'm sure there's some bad blood with them and other people, especially with the Wii U and how quick people abandon the Wii U. I'm sure there's some kind of bad blood. Might not necessarily be enough to just say, you know, we're not messing with you as an entity. But I do think there are some people that might not get along with certain people, especially EA. EA, you know, they completely abandoned the Wii U.
Exactly.
So, you know, we'll have to see about that. Do you think that there's going to be a Pro?
I would hope so. We're long overdue for it. I know they've had some optimizations and stuff with the Switch right now, but to be honest, I just think the hardware that they have inside of it is just too weak to do what it needs to do. And Nintendo is in no rush right now. The Switch is killing it in sales, and they're going to sandbag it for everything they can. And once they start seeing sales slack up, then they'll release a Pro. The whole thing right now, if they release a Pro right now, and then next year we have the Xbox 2 and the PS5 launch, I hate to say it, but the Switch is going to be dead in the water. Nobody's going to care for a Switch anymore in about 12 months time.
Yeah, especially because
it goes back to the original topic, which you said about BG, about what he said. It's one thing because the Switch came out after the current systems had already had their established base. They're already flourishing. They're already doing their thing. So people look for new stuff, right? We're addicted to new stuff. This is why we're looking forward to Google Stadia and the PS5 and the Xbox 2 Scarlet and stuff like that. We're addicted to new stuff. So the Switch was that new stuff. That's what we were looking forward to, and we got it, and people love it. They like it or whatever. There's a ton of compromises, but guess what? Eventually, it's not going to be the new kid on the block anymore. People are not going to really care anymore. And trust me, $299, it's kind of a hard sell to me, especially when you're thinking about performance in games, because you could easily get a Xbox One S or a PS4 Slim with their whole big category and catalog of big blockbuster exclusives, Spider-Man and all that stuff. It's a hard sell, man. You can get all these games and a PS4 Slim for the price of $299.
But you know, when it comes to that, you know, we'll move on here in a couple minutes. But I feel like it's like I said, I think they would do. They would not do as well as they did out the gate. That they sold really good out the gate because of Zelda. I think the other consoles would have made a lot of, especially casual consumers, pick between them. Now, as far as the launch titles go, there are some appealing ones on the other ones, but maybe some of the casuals that bought a PS4 and Xbox would have bought a Nintendo because that's a, I wouldn't say a better brand. I'll say a more recognizable brand because of Mario, Zelda. I think, you know, some of, you know, the little kids and stuff that got PS4s for Christmas and Xbox Ones for Christmas might have gotten a Switch instead.
Yep. Well, some would have, but I just can't in my right mind see any guy picking a Nintendo Switch over a PlayStation or Xbox.
I think for the most part you're right, but I do think that younger audience would have gotten a Switch over it because I know a lot of people. I have my cousins live next door. They're always coming over here bumming my Switch off me. They have that more than I do. I only really play it at home.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll have to see. Hopefully, you know, that maybe they'll do like a Switch 2.0 next year, and that's their next gen. Maybe, you know, I doubt it, but you know, maybe we'll actually see that. But I think for the most part, Nintendo knows what they're doing. They're not wanting to launch anywhere close to their competitors. They want to make sure they're as far away as possible, and they want to make sure their games come out as far away as possible from their competitors.
Exactly.
But let's get to the meat and potatoes. Well, it's not really the meat and potatoes. This is like the soup, and the meat and potatoes is our main topic. But I don't know who exactly started this Halo 5 and Halo Infinite. Do you know who started this debate? I think it was someone in the community, but I don't.
Someone made a post. I
think it might have been Cal from Tech. I think it might have been him, but it could have been. There's a couple people. Lord Cognito, he mentioned that he wasn't really feeling how the game looked in terms of, and I agree with him. This game, for those of you that don't know, a lot of the people in the community, they have a bit of an issue when it comes to what the consoles is supposed to look in terms of Scarlet, how Infinite's supposed to look on the next gen hardware, which people forget that this title is probably going to be cross-play. It's going to be on the Xbox and the Scorpion. Well, no, it's not the Scorpion. It's what's the code name this time? Scarlet. Yeah. I said it. I just said it, man. It is what it is. But a lot of people think that Halo 5 looks better than Infinite of the, obviously like the 3-minute trailer that we saw at E3. What do you feel there?
Listen, okay, so I'm going to be honest, right? I wouldn't go to that extent, only because they have not shown us enough of Halo Infinite for me to make that judgment. But what I have seen, I can say I'm not impressed. Now, I'm not going to say that it didn't look good. I'm not going to say that it's ugly. I wouldn't say that, but I'm not impressed because this is a next generation game. This game is launching on a next generation system. I need to see something that makes me think that this is a next generation system. Nothing about the trailer that they showed says that this game could not be ran on the Xbox One X. And so that's the problem, right? That is a huge problem. Going with next generation, we're gonna have to see more different graphical fidelity, and not just resolution and not just frames, but we're gonna have to see the eye candy. Like, for example, I'm gonna use Sony for an example. When Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us 2, Death Stranding, when all of these games were first announced and shown, there was a ton of guys in the community all over Twitter and YouTube saying that this can't possibly be the PlayStation footage. This has to be next generation. Or, oh, no, this was CGI footage. This can't be done. And yet their games come out running on the Slim looking just as perfect, sometimes even better. So we need to see that same energy from the Xbox platform. We do want to see those games that says, man, I can't wait to buy a Scarlet because I know that this can't be ran on the Xbox One X or the S. And Halo just did not do that for me. There was nothing about it that said that this wouldn't look exactly the same on the X. All right. So how do you sell me a next generation console if I don't see that disparity?
I think
that's the problem.
I think this was a horrible showing of Halo Infinite, to be honest with you. I think if you look at it, the facial features, how the room looked, how the lighting at the end was when the cockpit opened and whatever the hell was lighting it up from space. So it had to have been something really, really light, like had a huge light source. I think it's a huge improvement on the engine. A lot of people tend to forget. People are comparing that in-game engine. This is pretty much like a vertical splice. I don't know if that's going to be in the game. But, you saw the UI, you saw the hub come up. Like, that was in-game processing. It wasn't probably in the game itself. It was just showing you what that engine can do. And if people remember, we're comparing that to blur cutscenes, something that's done completely away from the development of the game. Like, a whole other company does cutscenes for Halo.
Yeah.
So I think people forget about that because I think they want to go more of that Uncharted direction where the cutscenes and the gameplay are pretty much go seamlessly and you don't really know the difference between the two.
But here's the thing, right? Like you said, I don't know what it is about Microsoft and their messaging and their showing. I've often said over the years, they need to hire an outside PR team.
To be honest with you, man, Aaron's my dude. He's been mad nice to me.
Yeah.
But either he needs to have his hands untied,
yeah,
or they might need to get someone more. You know, I don't like blaming just one person.
Yeah.
You know, it could be his management that's not giving them enough funding. It could be, you know, because it's to what I've been told, their whole marketing team markets more than just Xbox. It's like the whole entertainment division. Yeah. So you have the same people that's marketing their tablets and stuff, marketing the Xbox. I don't think you market them the same way, and I think that's their problem, is they market everything the same way.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you this, man. When you look at Apple and how they market their products, I mean, think about it. Apple has the cojones to walk on stage and show you a stand to a monitor and say this stand costs $1,000, and they walk off like they don't care.
Yeah, because they know.
I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you why. After they did that, everyone is all standing around with cameras flashing and oohing and eyeing over a freaking $1,000 stand. So it's they have that perfect marketing, man. And to be fair, Sony has killed it this generation with marketing. They have controlled the narrative. They have controlled every aspect.
And you know why I think that is too? Because I feel like they market games as games.
Exactly. It's all about.
They don't market games as products like Microsoft does. They market. I feel like Microsoft don't know who they're really targeting. Like Microsoft's way of marketing, it seems this gen, is they throw a big ass rock in a lake full of people, and they're like, whoever catches it, catches it. And it feels like what Sony does is they break that rock up into 1,000 pieces. It was like over there in that little corner right there. That's where the gamers are. We're going to throw it there. And like, I feel like they're a little bit more direct when they approach marketing. They're like, this is what the game does. This is what it looks like. This is what you want to play. This is what you want. So go buy it. And Microsoft's like, I don't know which one of you want this. I don't know. Some of you want this game. Some of you want this game. So we're going to market to all of you.
Yeah, Microsoft has a knack for, one, not knowing who their base is, and for two, not they've been known to be afraid of what people are going to say and with the backlash. They I'm one of those believers. I know they messed up in the beginning with their marketing message, but I think if they would have held the line and gathered their thoughts and pursued exactly the vision that they had originally, I think they would have came out better in the long run. But once they tucked tail and changed direction and started trying to be this to everybody, they that's when they kind of lost their way, because now people don't have confidence in you. And it's one thing I keep bringing up, the company Apple, they're very confident in their products. Even Samsung is very confident in their products. They say, hey, this is our latest and greatest. Yes, we're going to take the headphone port off of the device and we're not going to care. We're going to sell you some wireless headphones.
Yeah, they're bold too.
You're going to take it. You're going to buy it
anyway.
You're going to take it and you're going to love it, and we don't care. And that instills confidence that you know, hey, look, these guys, they you know, these guys, they're confident in their product, so I'm going to give it a try. And guess what? They've been successful with it. But with Microsoft, it's like they're scared to go out on a limb and try something new. And I think that was one of the biggest backlashes from E3 was, hey, even if you didn't have Fable ready for a trailer, show us a screenshot that says Fable is coming. Or I mean, Nintendo did it with the Breath of the Wild successor.
They did it with Metroid.
Exactly, they did it with Metroid. They don't care. They're like, yeah, you might wait 5 years, but here you go.
I think their standpoint is, and you know, it's like I said in my in IOP's reaction to E3. You know, if any of you haven't watched it, definitely go over there and look that up. But I think their standpoint is, all right, you know, we're about to start a new gen. So we want to say those and we want to have them announced, and we want to have Fable in the next console, because obviously then you'll have the name, you have the price, you have what it does, you have more information on that. And I think they want them to psychologically link them together because they're being written about together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, that's cool and all, and that's a good decision on them business-wise. But consumer-wise, we can't give them that pass. I'm tired of saying wait till E3. I've never personally said it, but I'm tired of hearing it. It's like they had this E3. You know, they should have came out there. You know, I'm going to try to get a little bit back on the Halo topic.
Yeah.
But we should have seen Halo comes out next year. We should have seen Halo gameplay, like real gameplay, not no vertical slice, real gameplay. And I think this is the certain things that people just need to put Microsoft more to the fire over. It's like one year they do good, and I think we're a little bit to blame for how this E3 went, because when they do show us gameplay, we bitch. When they don't show us gameplay, we bitch. So I can understand when it comes to a perspective of someone, taking input. Okay, these people didn't like, but at the end of the day, it's not that we don't want to see gameplay. We want to see relevant gameplay, and we don't want to see too much of it. And we don't want to see too little of it.
Yeah. Here's the thing, right? This would have did it for me. If they would have extended that trailer about another 15 seconds and they would have showed Master Chief jumping out, and if they would have showed me the heads-up display of how the view is going to be from his helmet with his
just going in space, that's all you would have needed. Showing the light from the Earth reflecting, or the rings reflecting.
Just something more. All I saw was a dark corridor. I saw a guy, and to tell you the truth, I wasn't really that impressed. I know Digital Foundry did their analysis on it, but showing on YouTube and watching video, I was just really not that impressed. I was more impressed with maybe a Spider-Man or something, or God, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Obviously,
Halo is that flagship franchise, and you would hate them to get it wrong, right? Because it's like, geez, this is your bread and butter. If you can't even get your bread and butter right, like Halo already has millions of people waiting on the sidelines to buy it, whether it's a good game or not.
And I hate
it was just like over the top Michael Bay this thing. Like,
you don't even have to Michael Bay it. I was saying all that they would have had to do is just show a little gameplay. They could have had a couple scenes of one portion, like what we want to see. First off, they have the slip space engine they have not proven works. They haven't proved what it does. They haven't proved what it looks like. People want to see that. Then we want to see what version of Halo they're trying to go to. They clearly have said they're reamping Halo and they're doing it different. So show us what the hell you mean. Do a vertical slice of multiple areas in the game, showing us what this game looks like in the snow, in desert, like multiple areas, so we could see what this game looks like. Show us what portion and where this is on the story end, and then you could have ended it. You spent 5 minutes on Halo and would have blown everyone's fucking world.
Yeah.
I do want to bring up something real quick before we go into the Grumpy Master. He says, "Do you guys hope a Fable is coming or a brand new action RPG?" So I'm pretty sure he's saying if Playground isn't working on Fable, would you prefer it to be Fable, or would you prefer it to be a hardcore RPG, like a brand new IP, I assume?
Well, I think it's all but announced that a Fable is coming. Maybe in one of Phil's interviews, maybe he kind of alluded to it. So Teddy's it's the world's worst kept secret.
It's like the Lionheart, not Lionheart, the Lockhart. I was actually going to make that as a topic, but I was like, I don't want to talk about that. I don't really care about hardware.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, I would rather them to do a brand new IP, and only because, right, it takes away that argument that we haven't had any new IPs that stuck in since 2014, 2015
at all. If you look at it, in terms of Quantum Break, I wouldn't say it was a flop. A lot of people, it's got a little bit of its following, but every game sooner or later gets a following.
Okay, let's take Quantum Break, right? The successor to that game is a multi-plat now, and it's marketed by PlayStation. So we need something that I don't know, man.
And what's funny is it looks like Control's the better game.
That's true, but it's just like Titanfall 2. Remember?
And you bring up a good point. Sony is taking something like, Remedy. They're taking Remedy. They're like, look, we're not even really helping you. We'll market the game, but you're taking it from someone like Microsoft that it looked like they were pushed a lot of narrative, like, the story interactive movies, and you make it to Control, and they are indirectly putting a narrative out that's true. That's like, look, here's Quantum Break. When Microsoft was marketing and they were helping them out, you had this. And if Control comes out even a fraction of what people say, it's going to be better than Quantum Break. And it's like, here's Quantum Break. Not with Microsoft. like Sony they're geniuses. Like, they really are.
That's just, again, the man that controls the narrative controls the world, and that just kind of what it is. But listen, I'm not going to sit here and just blame Microsoft in the Xbox division wholly by himself. I do blame the gamers too. The gamers
I
didn't.
think it's
The
made.
gamers did not show up at all. They talked a good game, but when it came out to going out to buy and supporting these games, they did not show up. Therefore, Phil and gang had to change course, and they had to do some different things. And now they found something that's, like Game Pass and stuff like that, that's successful for them. That's just the repercussions of what happens because we did not support the particular games, the exclusives, the big blockbuster AAA. Now I get it, right? Those games, looking back at Rise, yes, we want a sequel. Quantum Break, we want a sequel. Fable, all those games we want a sequel. Sunset Overdrive. But when those games came out, nobody showed up. And
My question is,
nothing makes me more angry, right?
My question with that is it fair to blame the consumer for not making a game that they liked?
Listen, the mere fact that we got a sequel to Knack will tell you everything you need to know.
Oh, I agree. But at the end of the day, Knack sold.
Uncharted 1, right, didn't set the world on fire. But then they came out with Uncharted 2.
I agree. You have to nurture. We've said multiple times, you have to nurture these brands. You can't just come out and expect a home run on the first one. And I completely understand 100%. Yeah. I think that we should have seen a Sunset Overdrive 2. Microsoft should have made it their point to be like, look, we'll fund the whole game. It comes out on PC and it comes out on Xbox. Rise, I don't know what happened there. Maybe we'll find out. I think Rise, there's more to that than meets the eye. I think there might be bad blood between them now, because I heard there was some real suspect stuff going on behind the scenes when it comes to stuff like that. I heard there was Rise 2 was actually in development and was canceled because they could not agree on who would own the IP. So maybe they didn't throw enough money. I think Rise could have been their God of War if it was nurtured correctly.
Shoulda. It comes to one of those things: shoulda, coulda, woulda. Looking back, there's a lot of things that could have happened, but again, I'm just saying that there's blame on both sides. Microsoft, yes, they take blame because they have to have. This is the one thing Microsoft did not have this generation that I believe they had last generation. This generation, they do not have quality control. Who is playing these games saying, yes, this is great, this is what the gamers want, this is no, this is not what the gamers want. If they would have played Crackdown and State of Decay and Sea of Thieves and some of the other games that didn't quite cut the mustard, they would have known. Like, you cannot be self-aware.
I will say one thing. We've definitely got off topic. We'll get back onto this next.
But it still boils back to.
Oh, it does. Everything does. I think Microsoft. We'll start seeing them nurture their brands a little bit better now. I do. We see Thieves. They could have dropped that shit because clearly that game didn't do the greatest coming out. Might have did a little bit good on the sales part, but they are definitely putting money behind it. They're trying to bring it back. It looks like, I don't know what happened with the whole Twitch thing. I don't know if they're paying people to play it on Twitch. They claim they're not. So to take them on the benefit of the doubt on that, I guess. Yeah. But even if they are paying them, we literally say spend your money better. Paying someone that has 200,000 people watching him on Twitch is a good way to spend your money.
I agree.
So
look at Fortnite. Once Drake played it.
Oh yeah.
Remember everybody was playing PUBG, and then Drake.
That is the single-hand thing that got Ninja where he is now. Yeah, it got the game where it is now. But Aaron Jackson actually, I've always said this over and over again. Can I get a new Army of Two? I actually would love Microsoft to buy the Army of Two IP and have Coalition make it.
Yep.
That would be. Tell me that's not right up their alley.
No, you
make it gory as hell.
Here's the problem with that though. I think isn't it here lately? I think the messaging from Microsoft is about being all inclusive and not about the big bloody mature stuff.
And the part that kills me is like we don't even know what Microsoft's doing. To be completely honest with you, Jaydub, I don't even know if Microsoft knows what they're doing. They're constantly switching their messaging up. So I get confused on what they're doing. Oh, you know, they want to go on Windows and they don't want to go on Windows. Now we want to be a platform on PC. We want to nurture that PC, but they don't fix anything about their web store. And then we're just abandon that entirely. We're going to go to Steam. And then it's like, what's going to happen with Play Anywhere now? Like, is the more money that Steam gets, are they just going to shut that store down eventually? Because they've done that in the past. We don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Again, it goes back to the PR, the messaging. If you know, in the beginning of the generation, they got knocked off balance, and they have yet to find their footing. And when it seems like they finally found their footing,
I think they found their footing,
kind
but
of
they have fallen so far down in the canyon, and it took them forever to grab onto that ledge to even lift themselves up at all. Now that, you know, I don't think people really understand what this generation, they lost this generation, but this generation was probably the most damage that's been done to this brand in probably a long time.
Well, yeah, but the biggest damage comes from, for one, not having anything exclusive to your platform, and for two, giving it all away for $1 or for $9. I think that it's great. Listen, that's great for all the new people that are going to come flock, or if you're new in the ecosystem.
Pro Game Pass person. Okay, Jaydub. Like, I agree. Like, I agree with everything Game Pass does.
I listen. I get it, right? Game Pass is great for a certain audience, but for people who, and again, I'm going to admit, I'm an old head.
Is it for?
I'm an old head. I look forward to the midnight launches, for standing outside, buying the consoles and buying the games. I understand the value of something physical and ownership and stuff.
All right, so, you know, I think that's, you know, this is actually a good segue to go into the console power. It's our last topic. You know, I'm going to go ahead and change this topic just a little bit. I don't want to just talk about the console power. I want to talk going into next gen with all the other variables that these consoles have now than just the power of the console itself. You got, you know, Sony. I think they got some of the best studios making games right now. I think they have more IPs to make games. So, you know, I think that for a couple of generations, you've seen Sony stagger at the beginning because it's because, you know, they're juicing up for the end. I don't think that's going to be next gen. I don't, for Sony, for Microsoft too. I think that they both, you know, we'll have to see what Microsoft's quality of their games are. Sony's spoken for what their quality is. So, you know, we can expect good games from them. But I don't think power is going to matter as much going into next gen, because we're going to see the Horizon Zero Dawns quick into the gen, because we have half their games that they made in 2015-16 that they should be well almost done with their sequels and their, you know, any new IPs those studios are doing. You got games like Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us, Death Stranding. Those are probably going to be cross-chat and they're going to have to be on both consoles. So they're going to push the first maybe year. And then you're going to start getting maybe Bloodborne 2, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, maybe what's that game that flopped like hell? People think that there might be a sequel. Order 1886. Maybe we'll see something with that. Like, I think that in terms of Sony, like Microsoft, I think they have the same scenario, but their studios haven't proven themselves like Sony has.
Look at GT Sport, man. That thing sold 8 million plus. And that was a shocker to a lot of people because, you know, again, a lot of people kind of complained in the beginning, the lack of content and what the focus were. But it just shows you, man, that name and that brand, Digital Polyphony, man, that's
it. You know,
that's still their bread and butter, man. That's their, you know.
So with that being said, with console power, the biggest question I want to ask you, Jaydub. Shout out. Actually, that's my second ever super chat. So I'm gonna go ahead and read that a little bit. Give me 1 second.
Go ahead.
It's no way Game Pass is hurting Xbox. That sounds like some hate. I don't care how you try to spin it. Now, look, it's not necessarily that Game Pass is hurting Xbox. I don't necessarily think that.
No.
Game Pass is.
Let me clear.
Hold on. Let me finish. Game Pass itself, the service isn't hurting Xbox, but I will say that the narrative that Game Pass gives is hurting Xbox. It makes you think that. They're just making, and Microsoft hasn't done anything to prove people wrong. With State of Decay, Sea of Thieves coming out, not having content, State of Decay came out buggy. As much as I hate to admit what Jack Moose says, sometimes it feels like they just make games to put in it. Yeah. And I think that's mainly what Jaydub. I'm going to let Jaydub address that, and let him clear up anything he might have misled.
You hit what I was trying to say. I wanted to clear it up. By no means do I think getting great games for $1 or $10 a month is a bad thing. That's freaking super awesome. Shout out to. I mean, I subscribe to Game Pass, so that's just what it is. What I meant was, I mean, when you look at Nintendo, right? These guys, for their fault, right? They never lower the price on their games. You rarely see they have launch titles like Breath of the Wild and Splatoon. Those games are still $59, and for the whole, even Wii U games are still $59, and they don't even make the console anymore. Nintendo has said it before. They will not devalue their IP. They made it with the price in mind, with the value that you get, and that's what they would rather just not sell it than to devaluate it. Now, I understand that's crazy for most gamers, right? Of course you want games to be cheaper because then the gamers can buy more. That's great for the gamer. But also as a businessman, I can understand his value. I can understand what they're saying. If I make a great quality product, why should I have to devalue my product for a short-term gamer or a short-term purchaser? Because what's going to happen is within 3 months, the game is going to get old. I'm going to lower the price to $10. And then when people look back, they're going to not see the value in it. And a lot of gamers tend to put value in the cost of the actual game. We got Hellblade, great game, great game. Was $29. It was worth every dime. I would have probably end up paying $60 for that game if it was $60 at launch. So obviously, I think I'm getting a great deal. But when you put Forza Horizon 4, Gears 5, Halo Infinite in Game Pass day and date, it does kind of
it does make you think that
something to me personally. It's just kind of making me like turn my head and wonder, are you really doing this because I mean,
all right, I have a question for you then. Let's go ahead and take I want to give a little bit different perspective.
Okay.
All right, let's say we have Outer Worlds coming out. Obviously it's not an exclusive, but it's going in Game Pass. I think that's a big deal. So what I want to give the opinion on when it comes to, we can go back to this console power too. If console power is going to be as relevant as this gen that it was next gen that it was this gen, is we'll see what kind of quality. It's like I said, the biggest thing we have now is the quality of Microsoft games. With Sony spoken for themselves, very few games of Sony has been below an 85. You got to give them that respect. They earned that. So when it comes to Microsoft, we'll have Outer Worlds coming in. Now, it's not necessarily an exclusive, but I think that game can speak for qualities of the work that studio can do, if that makes sense to you. So you will have to see how that goes. Now, Compulsion's a little iffy because, Compulsion made they made We Happy Few. And I liked We Happy Few. I like the concept that We Happy Few tried to give, but I think they executed it wrong. So then we'll go into Ninja Theory. A lot of people are upset what they're doing on Ninja Theory when it comes to Bleeding Edge. But the chick, if you want to look at the IOP interview, she says, they've been working on that before Microsoft bought them. So I don't think we can really go by what them do it. What they do with that Bleeding Edge. Now we'll go with the next people that made Hellblade. We'll go with there. So if the quality of these studios turn out to be not necessarily on par with Sony, but 8s to 8.5s around that area, almost all their games do that, and they all drop day one on Game Pass. Do you think, and they all have quality? Do you think that would erase that narrative that is there?
Yes. Listen, games talk, BS walks. If you deliver the good quality games, people will shut up. They would literally shut up. They would have nothing else to argue, right? There was nothing else to say. They're delivering great quality games, 7.5s, 8s, 8.5s, a 90 here or there. Hey man, you can't be mad at that. That's a win for everybody.
And a lot of,
but right now, as it stands, it seems like, oh man, this Game Pass, I like the Game Pass, but it has a bunch of old games, and the games that the new games they're putting on there are more fillers. We don't, and then again, people tend to stick by Phil's every single words. That
they do, and I feel like
he has not done himself justice when he says, well, we're focusing on the indie and the AA studios, so somebody can make, we can make 3 or 4 games a year and we can crank out this. And it sounds like it's more of a crank factory instead of man, I got to have quality to compete. And I'm going to be honest, as an Xbox guy, I want Microsoft in Xbox specifically, Xbox. I don't care about Microsoft. I care about Xbox to be competitive with Sony. We want them to go blow to blow. We want them to fight for our dollars every single way, just how it was last generation when they were kicking the hell out of PlayStation.
If Microsoft would have came out and they would have been killing it from the start, you probably would have saw name changes 2-3 years ago. You would have Jaydub. I do think that Game Pass is a great service. It's greatly priced. I think that, let's say Game Pass comes out next year and Obsidian starts dropping heat. Ninja Theory starts dropping heat. 343 gets back where they should be on Halo, which this is like throwing a giant ass rock that has dreams on it in the lake in hopes it skips to the other side.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think they're going to hit everything out of the park. And when it comes to stuff like Sony's great studios, they got to be nurtured correctly to make the kind of products that they make, the kind of quality games they make. So I do think that right now it has a narrative that they're making games like State of Decay 2 that's buggy off launch, and they're taking that and they're justifying that price behind Game Pass. Now, not necessarily mean that Microsoft's intentionally doing that, but it's like you said, perspective is everything. It doesn't matter what they intend. If the perspective's there, that's what people are going to believe is the perspective.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. That's what it is.
But it's like I said, so I want to end this here in the next 10-15 minutes. So I want to dial it back a little bit because I think I'm going to do.
You did ask me about the hardware, about what power.
Yeah, that's what I'm back. I'm going to dial it back to that. So when it comes to console power, do you think that it's going to be as relevant as it was this gen at the beginning, next gen at the beginning, that it was this gen at the beginning?
No, and I'm going to tell you why. I think last generation, 2 things that mattered, right? Most importantly, it was the cost, and then it was the performance. Sony had the best price for the performance. Those are 2 things. You can't beat that. Price to performance ratio will beat anything. But on top of that, with the flood messaging that the Xbox came out with, the flood messaging, the DRM, it just all over the place with a bunch of stuff. Don Matrix did his thing with the, we have a console for you. It was just a lot of stuff that went wrong with Microsoft. So it wasn't just one thing. It was multiple things.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you, from the pricing, like you said, to bad marketing. They even had decent games at the beginning of the console.
Listen, I'm not going to lie. Microsoft had better games at launch.
It's like Microsoft was a Class A swimmer. Yes. And they had an anchor on them, so they couldn't swim correctly because they were getting sunk so bad because of the company itself.
But back to what I said. Games will win over any flubs. Look at Sony last generation. They launched not only the PS3, they launched it a year after the Xbox had already been on the market. So obviously Xbox already had a head start. They launched $200 to $300 more than the Xbox 360. So that's another one. PlayStation 3 did not even have Rumble in the controller. That's another step going against it. It didn't even have any compelling games. That was another thing. So PlayStation 3 had so much stuff going against it, right? So the first 2 years, it took a shellacking. The Xbox 360 just ran away. But then Sony went back to focusing on what they were good at, and that was doubling down on their IP and their games. They started making compelling new IPs. They came out with the Resistance. They came out with they dropped the Kill Zones, the Uncharted's and stuff. They had the compelling the software to make up for what they lacked in the hardware department when it comes to stuff like that.
It's like I said at the beginning of the gen.
Yeah.
Let me just interrupt you 5 seconds. I said multiple times at the beginning of this gen that Microsoft had a certain amount of time to get their ducks in order before Sony started dropping heat.
Yeah.
And about
2 years, baby.
2015, 16, that's when they ran out of time.
Yes. It only takes 2 years before companies, and it's crazy. There's a video that I've posted and other people have posted too. Microsoft own words saying that at the beginning of the generation, the power is the power and the price is the number one thing. And after 2 years, that power doesn't mean anything to the gamers anymore. It's all about the games. That's how you extend the generation. That's how you get people to sell about the games. In the beginning, yes, it's about the power. But at the end of the day, it's all about the games. And we've seen the Nintendo Switch, right? Obviously outsell the PlayStation and the Xbox, and it doesn't even have the hardware. It's the world's most weakest console. So at what point do you say, hey, maybe this power is not all it's cracked up to be? It's really about the games. You got the Xbox One X, world's most powerful console, and yet you have games that run on the PlayStation 4 Slim that looks better than what's being cranked out on the X. It's about the compelling games. You have to show the games. And that goes back to Halo. They showed Halo Infinite, and a lot of us was not really thrilled about it. It wasn't bad, but it didn't knock our socks off. We need stuff to knock our socks off.
To be honest with you, I thought that was one of the worst ways they could have shown Halo Infinite.
Yeah. A dark environment, nothing really showing. You focusing on just a guy, and then Master Chief.
Not even one bullet shot.
Exactly. Like, show me inside. Like, just like, how Doom does, right? It shows you outside, and then you zoom in the inside, and then it shows you the view from inside the helmet. Like, do that. Show me the gun. Show me. I don't know, man. And to sum it up, it goes back to the same thing with Gears, right? We were cranked up for them to show Gears. They didn't even show any single player. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I've tossed my hands up when it comes to that. I still think they need to hire an outside consulting company to do their PR and their marketing. I really do. They may not want to spend the money.
I honestly feel like
they need it.
When YouTubers are marketing your company better than you are, then there might be something wrong.
Yes.
But anyway, we're going to go ahead and close this up. Has anyone got any questions? I'll give about 30, 40 seconds to put in that chat. We'll answer like maybe one or two of them if there's any.
Yeah, guys, hit that like and subscribe button right now.
But I'm going to try to do more of these because for people, when I was on Planet Xbox and IOP, people don't realize how much podcast does a number to you. Oh, like when I have to dedicate time on Sundays to do IOP, then I have to turn around, dedicate times on Wednesday to do Planet Xbox. I've talked about all my opinions most of the time twice. So, I didn't want to make videos. I didn't want to make anything because I've had the Addict show for like 2 years.
Yeah.
But, I'm going to go ahead and will this out. Kratos, a.k.a. The new born Jaydub. Jaydub. Tell people where to find you at.
Hey, you guys can find me on Twitter at JDubCity16, keeping you guys laughing with the gifts and the memes. You know what I mean? You can also find my new YouTube channel at JDub City. I'll send him the link. So
is it beside the City of Hate?
Yeah, it is. Hey, but yeah, I'm doing a lot of esports racing and stuff like that on my channel, and just trying to mix up the content. Do what I do. I'm a racing sim at heart. Love racing games. Whether it's Forza, iRacing, Assetto Corsa, GT Sport, different things like that. But again, I game on the Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and stuff like that. So,
and definitely go check him out. I'm gonna put him in the description. I actually have to remake all that. I still have the original members of Planet Xbox in that description. I don't know why, but definitely go check him out. I'll put him in the comment section below. I'll probably do one of these next week. I try to stay away from topics everyone's butchered. So I'm going to try to keep that going. Try to build this up a little bit to be a little bit my own thing. I don't want it to be like IOP. I ain't doing the intros like Cognito does because people don't know this, but it takes Cognito a lot of time to do those intros. He does research. He does all of that. I ain't doing that.
He got it down pack, man. He got it down pack. I can't lie.
And once again, rest in peace, Etika. All the support goes your way, all the emotional support. But appreciate everyone coming out. Definitely hit that like button if you don't mind. Share this to your friends. I like my content, get to as many people as possible. And definitely check out Jaydub City on YouTube. Until next time, this is the end of the Addict Show. I'm out. Peace.
Peace.